Cowboys are now the favorites to sign Thomas. Safety hasn't been shy about wanting to play for the Cowboys. Remember, in 2017, he approached then Cowboys head coach Jason Garrett and told him to, quote, "come get me," when he still had another season on his contract. I remember we talked plenty about that. Shannon, should the Cowboys sign him?
I expect that they will, but Shannon Sharp would not. Because I believe in a situation like this, you need to do your homework, Skip. When a team says they're releasing a player for conduct detrimental, although everybody hears about the act where he punched a teammate that plays basically the same position, conduct detrimental is not a singular act.
It's not.
It's plural. Okay, so what led up to conduct detrimental? What are the series of events? What is the chain of events that got us here? Skip, you're releasing a guy 3 weeks before the season that you just gave a boatload of money to. Why? What is it? What's the underlying theme? See, people think, when the Raiders released Antonio Brown for conduct detrimental, Skip, it wasn't that singular act. It wasn't just because it was the ballroom, it was the late, it was the tardiness. So in a situation like this, I believe it's the very same thing. Was it missed practice, missed meetings, late to practice, late to meetings? What was his conduct in the locker room? Skip, let me tell you something. I would like to think I had a lot to do with some of the relationships and how the Ravens locker room is conducted. Because I thought Ozzie Newsome did a great thing when he brought myself and Rod Woods and Rob Burnett, was a former Cleveland Browns that brought to Baltimore, and Mike McQuarrie. I thought Ozzie did a great job of infusing a lot of veteran players with some of the youth. And my job and Rod's job was, as accomplished players, is to let the other players know this is how you conduct yourself. Because we weren't going to always be there, Skip. And those young players, the Ray Lewises, the Peter Boulwares, those Chris McAllisters, all those guys, Jamal Lewis's, they were going to be there. So this is the way you conduct yourself. And I just think the thing is, for me, it is being reported that the council, everybody, for now, I guess everybody has, as I started to lead the league, they had a players' council. Because the coaches wanted to have a pulse of the team. Because they really want it to be a team. They want the players to be in control of the team. What do you think about this? What do you think about that? It's going to be very, very interesting, Skip. I'm going to listen over the next 3 to 4 days how many of the Ravens players come out in support of Earl Thomas. That's going to tell you everything you need to know. Now, this is what we know for 1,000% for certain. There are 2 player-friendly locker rooms that said, nah, we good, bro. That's all you need to know. Pete Carroll, the Seahawks run that locker room. The Baltimore Ravens, I've been in that locker room. The players, they let you do it. And they said, nah, we good. Something is going on that they said, we would rather be without you. Remember, Skip, the old saying is, we'll tolerate you until we can replace you.
That is correct.
And they can only tolerate this man for 1 year.
Okay. So, as most people who watch the show know, I have campaigned for the Dallas Cowboys to sign Earl Thomas for 3 years. And I thought twice it was going to happen, and it did not happen. And I don't know exactly what went on behind the scenes, but at one point it looked like the Cowboys had him for a second-round choice. And then at the last second, according to multiple reports, Jerry Jones was apprised by John Schneider, who runs the Seahawks, no, it's going to be a 1 now. And Jerry said, oh, I thought we had a deal for 2. Sounds like Dak Prescott and his agent, rug jerked out from under Jerry, end of story. So I'm going to read now. We'll go back to what Jason Garrett, when he ran after Jason Garrett and said, come get me. And my question is, come get what? Because my leaning is against yours. I would still probably close my eyes and sign him, but I think this is trouble, and I don't think we have enough show for me to detail all the trouble that he caused, especially in Baltimore. Peter King wrote this morning, Earl Thomas was not well liked by his teammates. He had a pattern of being late, and in a recent practice, he had multiple assignment errors, causing defensive teammates to confront him about his preparedness. Not good.
Skip, and that was Skip. He blew the assignment and got mad at the guy because he called him out.
He missed at least 1 walkthrough with no valid excuse. Sounds like AB in Oakland, right? When the incident at Friday's practice happened, very few, if any, teammates came to his defense. Teammates backed Clark, the significantly lesser name. That's Chuck Clark, who was a 6th-round draft choice out of Virginia Tech.
Yes.
What was it? announced 3 years ago.
2018, I think.
Yep. And he started 12 games last year, so he wasn't even a full-time starter last year, and teammates are backing him because on the play in question, Earl Thomas just decided on his own, I'm going to blitz. And all of a sudden, he gave up a deep touchdown wide open, and Chuck Clark took his helmet off because he was so frustrated with all of the missed assignments and threw it against the turf.
Right.
And here came Earl Thomas and punched him out.
Yes.
That was basically the end of Earl Thomas in Baltimore. So what did he say? Remember, the Ravens signed him, and I knew at that point the Cowboys couldn't even get in the Derby for him because he got $55 million. And it was 4 years, 55. That's $32 million was guaranteed at signing. Yikes.
He got 22 and he got 10 this year's salary.
Largest in the franchise history ever given to a non-quarterback. So nobody on defense and nobody else besides the quarterback on offense had ever gotten that kind of money.
And they got 3 Hall of Famers on that deal. Ray Lewis, Suggs, and Ed Reed.
Thank you.
Never got that.
Thank you. So during spring workouts with the Ravens the first time around, Thomas acknowledged that the Ravens' defense was complex compared to the one run in Seattle. And you know what Seattle did? They just ran cover 3 every play. Here we are.
Thank you.
Here we are because we're better than you.
Yes.
I got Sherm over here and I got Cam over there. You know, I got it. Come get us.
Bobby, KJ,
right? I got it. And we're not going to do anything complex.
Right.
We're just going to beat you because we're better than you.
Right.
So he's saying, I haven't really enjoyed playing this defense that much. Earl's just saying it, and I'm sure the Ravens are like, well, we've been doing this for a long time here, and we're really good at it.
Right.
So last year, there were all kinds of breakdowns. Even though Earl was voted to the Pro Bowl, was it somewhat on reputation? Probably. They allowed the 3rd fewest points of any defense in football. So did he contribute to that? Sure he did.
Yes.
Were they 14-2, the best record in the NFL?
Yes.
Yes, they were. But there were all kinds of blunders within the 14-2 that nobody liked.
Yes.
There was a Nick Chubb run that broke the game open against, remember when Baltimore went in there and just shocked them? I mean, Cleveland went into Baltimore and shocked them. That was his breakdown. That was his man, and he wouldn't even chase him.
And you remember Kansas City. He didn't play the first Kansas City out there the year before.
No.
And he said, well, what happened? And he said, well, I wasn't
there.
And then Mahomes goes and throw for 400.
And they had
you were there.
503 total yards. And he said, well, they didn't have me patrolling the middle of the field.
Right.
Well, they did, and then it didn't work out.
Exactly.
And then there were all kinds of other incidents. He missed after the game he played at Seattle, which they won, so he was gloating about that. They had a bye week, and he just dropped out of sight and didn't make it to the team plane after the game because I guess he wanted to just go on his own and stay for a week in Seattle. Fine, but shouldn't you clear it through your head coach?
So you leave early and come back late.
Okay. And then there was the incident that I don't want to get too deep into with his wife, who went to the rental house with a loaded gun and put it to his head because she was accusing him of cheating on her at their rental house. I think it was in Austin.
Right.
And, and he did not apprise the Ravens of that until it hit the social media.